Right now on the National Weather Desk, weather alert. The South braces for severe weather, including the threat of tornadoes, while other parts of the country deal with cold and snow.
The biggest concern this week will be the travel conditions as it's snowing.
Volcanic eruption. Mauna Loa erupts for the first time in nearly 40 years, where the lava is flowing this morning on Hawaii's Big Island. Also, how weather balloons are used to help meteorologists forecast the weather.
The balloon could be the size of a small house before it bursts.
Class is in session. First, a lesson on severe storm forecasting.
Just like baking a cake, if you take the basic ingredients, there are 10,000 ways you can mix them up.
Plus, a look at the ingredients needed to create snowbands.
3 key ingredients determine how a snowband develops as well as how intense they may become.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Well, good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. This morning, we're tracking a severe weather threat moving through the South. That will happen later this afternoon. That line of storms could include tornadoes, damaging winds, hail, and a flood warning. Meteorologist Taylor Sorello is in Birmingham, Alabama this morning with the details.
Threat severe outbreak is projected across the southern and southeastern U.S. starting today, lasting into tomorrow. And it does look like all types of severe weather will be possible during this outbreak. We've got a moderate level 4 out of 5 risk in the red color here. That includes portions of Louisiana stretching up through central Mississippi. Let's take a look at the evolution of this system. So this morning, we've got very strong winds coming up from the south, pulling up humidity, moisture, and warm air from the Gulf. As this cold front dives southward, it is going to allow for severe thunderstorms to develop across portions of Louisiana, stretching into Mississippi. Models are indicating the storm mode on this could be discrete cells, which would signify supercell thunderstorms. That's why we do have all types of severe weather possible, including tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds. Heading into the overnight hours, this system is going to be moving through Alabama and eventually exiting towards Georgia very early tomorrow, and the severe threat is going to come down a bit.
Other big news, the world's largest active volcano, Mauna Loa, in Hawaii is erupting. The last time this happened was in 1984. Lava is flowing down one side of the volcano, but currently it doesn't pose a threat to the communities in the area. However, volcanic gas, ash, and strands of lava glass could be carried downwind, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. As a precaution, 2 shelters have been opened in the area. The Hawaii Transportation Department said passengers with flights to Hilo International Airport or Ellison Kona International Airport should check with their airline prior to heading to the airport due to the volcanic activity. The eruption on Mauna Loa began Monday, 4:30 Eastern Time. All right, snowfall is expected to keep road crews busy in the Pacific Northwest if it hasn't done so already. In Washington state, they're expecting more snow today. In fact, some areas will be under a winter storm watch starting this afternoon. Public Works departments are on high alert across the region. Our coverage starts north of Seattle, where Michelle Esteban has more.
About 20 snowplow trucks at the ready and nearly another 20 if needed here in Snohomish County.
Ready to go out and push off the snow. We're looking at maybe a couple inches of accumulations.
And even more in the northeast part of Snohomish County and counties to the north. Public Works departments across the region are ready. King County told me they've been pre-treating roads with an anti-icer. But not everyone is ready for lowland snow.
What? What? I haven't heard it.
Yeah.
I've not heard it. No. Craziness.
Patty Brown said she's not worried about the snow. She'll be watching the World Cup Tuesday.
It really isn't. They do a really good job with cleaning the streets and that. And if you know what you're doing driving, it's not bad.
You could go from a wet road to an icy road very quickly. So just slow down, be careful, and increase your follow distance.
When it gets bad snow, we just kind of hunker down and stay in the house.
Snohomish County crews plan to plow quickly. They want snow off the road before it can freeze. And in their arsenal, 8,000 tons of sand and nearly 6,000 of a sand salt mix. County crews tell me one advantage, it's expected to be a 1 or 2 day event, likely hitting hardest late Tuesday afternoon. But it's just the start of what's coming.
We're ready, and I'm just expecting it's going to be another snowy winter.
Good instincts.
We've been told that we're in a triple La Nina, which means a colder, wetter season, which sounds like snow to me. So
While some folks plan to stay put, drivers who are taking to the mountain passes are exercising caution. Plow drivers were out keeping the highway across Snoqualmie Pass clear to be ready for the next storm and freezing temperatures that are expected in the lower elevations. Let's go now to Snoqualmie Pass, where Denise Whitaker has more.
Take us down to North Bend, at least on the west side, and then, of course, it'll be snow throughout eastern Washington.
John Stembaris with the Washington Department of Transportation tells me they're ready for whatever comes next.
The biggest concern this week will be the travel conditions as it's snowing, and drivers just need to be prepared and slow down.
What's your safety zone?
I don't know the distance, but I stay pretty far back, and I go slower than probably what's recommended.
Jill Callahan, who tells me she regularly drives back and forth between Seattle and Selah with her two dogs, Abby and Shorty, also takes precautions to keep them safe.
The dogs actually are seat belted in the back, so they're not on my lap. They're not jumping around the front.
So what are the red flags that would make her skip or postpone her drive?
If it's going to be a heavy snow, definitely. And how long it's projected to snow.
We're going to continue to see snow and snow at low elevations. So that means more lane miles of highway are going to be affected by snow.
With all the snow expected in Washington, it's a good time for a few safety reminders, not only for drivers who will navigate this storm, but for anyone whose commute will involve winter weather in snowy mountains. Hannah Knowles is also in Snoqualmie Pass with some driving tips.
If you do need to cross the passes, the Department of Transportation sharing tips to help prepare you and your car for snowy driving conditions. Some common sense stuff, all good reminders though. Check your tires. This includes making sure your chains fit before you hit the road. And be sure to keep those chains with you just in case. Next, do a maintenance checkup. Make sure your battery, lights, and brakes work properly. And lastly, make sure your gas tank is full.
Dangerous snow squalls made their way over western Montana this weekend, and if you're wondering how they form and what makes them so dangerous, let's head now to Missoula, where meteorologist Mitchell Combs used 3D technology to explain.
Snow is nothing new in Montana, and recent weather events have reminded us that winter has arrived. Snowfall can occur in many ways, but one method that is particularly interesting are snow bands. Snow bands are narrow weather features whose paths are dictated by wind direction. These snow bands can create significant snowfall gradients. Three key ingredients determine how a snow band develops as well as how intense they may become. The first should come as no surprise: moisture. There must be enough moisture in the atmosphere to produce snow in the first place. And for heavier snowfall events, there needs to be a constant transportation of moisture from the surface up into the clouds. Second, we need a lifting mechanism, be it a front or a convergence in the atmosphere. This lift allows the air to reach the level where snow is most efficiently produced, between 3,000 and 15,000 feet above ground level. Sunday's snow squall event was a perfect example of a cold front being this lifting mechanism and producing heavy snowfall and thus creating hazardous travel conditions. The third ingredient is a little bit more surprising because it's generally associated with spring and summertime thunderstorms, that being atmospheric instability. Instability is still important with winter storms because it continues to determine how quickly air rises into the atmosphere, and this can result in more snow in the clouds. What it can also result in is heavier snowfall rates down at the surface. Different combinations of these ingredients can determine whether we get 1 to 2 inches of snow or upwards to multiple feet of snow in those most extreme snow bands.
The federal government is spending $250 million over 4 years to clean up and restore a drying California lake. The Salton Sea is located in the Southern California desert. That's about 50 miles northeast of San Diego. It's fed by the Colorado River and is known for its high salt levels. Much of the money will be used to lower the impact of the dust created by the lack of water. It will also be used to restore the habitat for native animals. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, many of you have seen weather balloons, but do you know how they work? We'll show you. Plus the winter blues, it's a real thing. We've got some tips to keep you smiling through those winter months.
Hi, everyone. I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have a nice-looking day on tap for today. We're starting in the 30s. Afternoon highs will be in the low to mid-40s. We have a lot of sun with light winds. That's going to change on Wednesday, though. Wednesday, we have rain and wind re-entering the forecast. That rain is moving into western New York at 7 a.m. It's moving into New England during the afternoon and evening. That slug of heavy rain right there will probably have some wind gusts around 50 miles per hour, and there's the potential for some power outages.
Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the mid-Atlantic region. High pressure will move in, and that will lead to nice and sunny skies for much of the day. Into the afternoon, we're still looking at plenty of sunshine, but by the evening and into the night, the next weather maker starts to move in, and that's going to lead to more clouds. By Wednesday, we're talking the chance for rain ahead of a cold front. This afternoon, temperatures reach the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Overnight, those temperatures lower.
I'm meteorologist Vetus Reed looking at those temperatures for today in the mid-60s, low 70s across the south. Birmingham, Tupelo down towards Mobile, 74 degrees, 80s down in Florida. Strong cold front's going to be moving through the area, bringing up ahead of it Gulf moisture. But as we go through the day, there's going to be some severe storms that are going to be firing off over portions of Alabama, Mississippi. We could get some tornadic activity, especially south of Memphis. So something to definitely watch through the overnight Tuesday night into Wednesday morning.
Now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We'll start out in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, where it's going to be overcast, a little bit of wind later today. High temperature right under 50 degrees, and there is a chance of rain late evening. And now we'll head up to St. Joseph's, Michigan, where you can see skies are overcast, a little bit of fog there also in the view. There'll be some on and off rain coming your way this afternoon. High temperature just under 60 degrees. And we'll head south now to Port Arthur, Texas, where you bet showers are in the forecast. In fact, also some scattered thunderstorms, and some of those storms later today may be severe as you head up close to 80 degrees. And now we're going to end with a little bit of sunshine here. That's going to be in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. One pretty shot this morning, 71 degrees with light winds and nothing but clear skies coming your way today. Well, whenever there's a threat of severe weather, meteorologists often refer to a graphic from the Storm Prediction Center called the Convective Outlook. The graphic can be a little confusing even to a trained scientist. So our Emily Gracie spoke to Alan Seals at our Mobile, Alabama station to find out how to make sense of it.
What the Storm Prediction Center does, as all meteorologists do, is they're looking for patterns. And we know there are certain patterns that generate severe weather. A trough of low pressure, a cold front, a warm south wind ahead of it, a cold northwest wind behind it, and a powerful jet stream. Those are really the most basic ingredients. But just like baking a cake, if you take the basic ingredients, there are 10,000 ways you can mix them up. So the Storm Prediction Center focuses on where the threats are, whether it's straight line wind, the threat of hail, the threat of tornadoes. So they're the ones who give us the outlook. And an outlook is a broad picture that simply says tomorrow or even today or the next day, the ingredients will be available. Now, whether they come together, we can't say, but we know the ingredients are going to be in place.
When they put out this outlook, they put some very vague terms on there like marginal and moderate. So is there some work to be done here when it comes to communication with the SPC outlook?
No doubt about it. All of us meteorologists have our opinions on whether those words are effective or not, or whether they can be misinterpreted. Level 1 is a marginal risk of severe weather. Level 2 is slight risk. Level 3 is enhanced risk. And then you go to moderate and high. I encourage people, don't get caught up on the name or the label. Don't even get caught up on the number. Just listen to how your trusted source is telling you what you should be preparing for.
No, it's late November. We're going into early December. Is this an odd time of year for this level of risk?
No, but by popular perception, yes. But it's that transition from summer to winter and winter to summer where the jet stream is working its way southward and constantly meandering. And as it meanders, if that cold air comes down, the warm air goes up, and you have that strong jet stream over it, then you start to get the threat of rotation and severe weather. So fall, especially on the Gulf Coast where I am, that is definitely our secondary severe weather season.
Alan also mentioned to Emily, it's important to keep checking the outlook because the risk areas will change several times before the possible event. If you would like to hear more from Alan, then subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's really easy. It's where we've got a lot of great interviews like this one that you just heard, plus great content that didn't make it into the show. Well, there are several tools used to collect accurate weather data. Weather balloons and radiosondes are some of the more popular, but how do they work and what exactly do they do? To find out, let's head now to meteorologist Cheriston Clark in Charleston, South Carolina.
Up, up, and away. Weather balloons are not your average celebratory balloons.
When we initially inflate them, we're putting about 1,100 grams of helium into them, and that equates to about a 5 to 6 feet circumference or diameter of the balloon.
They expand significantly by the end of their flight, typically up to 115,000 feet in the atmosphere.
The balloon could be the size of a small house before it bursts.
Radiosondes are attached to the ends of the balloons, measuring temperature, humidity, pressure, wind speed, and direction, all critical data for meteorologists and forecasting.
That is the key to everything, and the main purpose of doing this is to get that information in those weather models that meteorologists use primarily for research and weather forecasting.
Weather balloons with the attached radiosondes are sent up, on average, twice a day.
It's able to directly detect weather elements in the atmosphere. The resolution in which the data is collected is superior to almost anything else that we use. That includes satellite, ground observations, aircraft in the air.
But don't worry, the tools aren't polluting the planet.
Almost everything that we put up into the air is biodegradable. The balloon is made of latex. It will degrade over time. On average, about 16 weeks, but that's highly dependent on where it falls, if it stays in the sun or if it's in the shade.
So where do these balloons and devices end up?
Generally in the winter months, the winds aloft will push it over to the ocean. In the summer, we have a sea breeze around here, so initially that will push the instrument inland, and the winds aloft will a lot of times be a little bit weaker, so it can stay over land.
If one of these devices ends up in your yard, don't panic. You can send it back to the forecast office where it will be recycled.
Well, one thing that we don't need a weather balloon for is to see and feel that things are getting colder. And when seasons change, doctors say that people's bodies also change. And this can lead to something called SAD, or seasonal affective disorder, also known as the winter blues. To help understand the signs of SAD and ways that you can help avoid those symptoms, let's head to Dominique Fidiello in Bozeman, Montana.
Times are changing here in the Treasure State as we transition from warm summer days now to cold, gloomy, and darker days. A time of the year behavioral specialists call SAD, or seasonal affective disorder, aka the winter blues.
Without the proper treatment, wintertime blues could lead to worsening depression.
It's clear that once temperatures start to drop, less and less people take to the streets. Behavioral health officials say it's important to understand the signs of what may be affecting your mental health.
So typical symptoms would be loss of sleep, low motivation, low energy, isolation. You know, wintertime blues can be common, and for most people, it's something that we're able to deal with.
A study done by Columbia University Medical Center highlights that seasonal depression affects up to 10 million Americans a year. But while symptoms may feel like the world is closing in on you, doctors say a few simple changes can keep your mental health protected.
Some of the most effective ways for managing wintertime blues is exercise, being outside, spending time with family, just staying active and engaged in your community or with hobbies. It's very treatable, and if you let it get worse, things can start impacting your personal life.
Health experts say if those key changes don't help, to always seek out help in a therapist or to call your local behavioral hospital.
The Orion spacecraft, part of NASA's Artemis 1 mission, reached its farthest distance from the Earth on Monday. The space agency said the Orion capsule reached about 270 miles from Earth. The distance set a record for the farthest distance a human-rated spacecraft has ever traveled. Well, before we head to break, let's test your weather wit. Typhoon Tip is the largest hurricane on record. How big was it? The answer after the break.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest today. Rain starting to move up towards the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, and then the strong cold front blasting the plains with some snow, and this is going to drop the temperatures for all of us as we move into the day tomorrow. So if you are in the 40s or 50s tomorrow in the Ohio Valley, quickly falling into the 30s. And look at that high temperature, 16 in Bismarck. A chilly Wednesday for us, but at least getting into plenty of sunshine. A few more clouds Thursday, still chilly.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Temperatures generally in the 70s to the south, 40s, 50s up to the north. We've got some light rain from Arkansas down into South Texas. We'll be watching a big warm-up today, particularly down across South Texas. It'll be much cooler across the northern portion of the region, Oklahoma into Texas, because that's when the next cold front comes through. And, of course, another big opportunity for rain, mainly for East Texas, Louisiana, and into Mississippi. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Tuesday morning, too. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Things finally getting exciting here on the West Coast. We've got cold air spilling in one direction, precipitation in the other. Where they meet, we're talking about some lowland snow potentially in the works today around Puget Sound and the Willamette Valley. Certainly in Spokane with a high of just 25 today. You see the warmth there around L.A. and San Diego with highs in the 60s in coastal California. But again, all eyes on the Northwest for that heavier snow, especially over the Cascades into Tuesday night. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
This is not a scary movie scene. Several inches of rain left behind, plenty of moisture leading to this morning fog near Lake Sam Rayburn in southeast Texas. Meanwhile, in Charleston, South Carolina, 'tis the season to harvest lemons for meteorologist Sonia Stevens. Sun, warmth, and humidity are their friends, but temperatures in the 20s can be damaging to the fruit.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Twitter.
And we love the awesome content our viewers send in to us from across the country via Chime In. Here's a few examples of what we're seeing lately. Some parts of the country have been experiencing breezy conditions, and remnants of those fall leaves are responding here to the wind and the gravity. That's pretty cool. And here's a snapshot of the frozen Clark Fork River in Montana. And take a peek at this moose in Maine. I feel like there's a joke here. We're told it stood in the middle of the road for at least 15 minutes. And we would love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us all over your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, of course, YouTube, too. Just search at NatWX Desk or National Weather Desk, and we'll be right back. Earlier, I asked how large was the largest hurricane on record? 550 miles, 873, 1,296 miles, or 1,380? The answer, Typhoon Tip. It was 1,380 miles wide. Hey, thanks for joining us here with the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Make it a great Tuesday. And as always, keep an eye on the sky.